Oh my gosh, we're recording. Data security over coffee. Little V. See that? So this is Connie Mastovich. She has been here forever. Sometimes I'm sure in her world it feels like she has been here forever. And she is a senior security analyst with Reclamere and does a wide variety of things, including put up with my stupid jokes and my lack of patience and other character traits that most people really enjoy about Joe Harford. But she also has a number of clients that she works with on a regular basis that, like many of you, are currently working from home. And some of them are working from home with kids, with dogs, with spouses. And so I wanted to have a chance to talk to Connie just to kind of get an idea from her perspective, because she has worked from home not only with Reclamere in the past, but in her professional career. So this is nothing that's new to her. I'm just curious, Connie, the folks that you deal with, you know, what kind of challenges are they facing in working from home, or even if you have like funny stories that you want to share, because you know it's always good to have funny stories to share.
I think one of the biggest things that I've seen with our clients are probably 50-50 technology challenges and personal challenges.
What do you mean?
Personal challenges are wives, kids, dogs, doorbells. Technology challenges are poor internet service, not enough bandwidth when the kids are on the computers doing homework. Okay. And the wife is doing her job and they're trying to do their job, and I'm talking to them and it's going because the internet's so slow. Mm-hmm. So it's been probably a good mix of those.
Have you had any experiences where you know, people just they're having a difficult time doing their job, like it's obviously stressful to them to the point where either they can't meet their own professional deadlines, you know, they can't respond back to you in a timely fashion, like because of these things, whether it's personal challenges or technology challenges, like they just can't get their job done?
I have not. I think because most of the people that we work with are fairly technical and have a technical background, they've been able to overcome those. I do have one guy who the only way they could make it work with he and his wife both home and their kids is that she works during the day and he works at night. But he was able to get on when we had calls and she would take the kids. But there's been a lot of challenges. And another thing that I hear a lot of people say is they don't like working from home because they don't feel like they're part of the team. They don't feel like they can work collaboratively with their colleagues. Right. And as you mentioned, I've been working at home. Well, I haven't been with Reclamere forever. I've been with Reclamere for 5 years.
That seems like forever to me.
It seems like forever sometimes to me as well. But I enjoy working from home. But I always said prior to the pandemic, I have the perfect combination because I would normally come to the office 1, sometimes 2 days a week. I was always out on the road a lot at client sites. With my certification, I have to attend conferences. I speak at conferences. So in thinking back prior to the pandemic, I doubt there's ever a whole month that I'm not either on the road for a day trip, somewhere overnight with on client work, at minimum in the office 1 or 2 days a week. So that to me is the perfect mix. And even though I'm accustomed to working from home and I've done it, I do miss popping into your office and saying good morning, or you coming back to the lab, or the guys in the warehouse chatting, or just that actual, the only humans that I saw for the first couple months were my husband and my kids.
Right.
Like most people.
Right.
But it has not impacted my ability to work because I have, as you can see, a really nice home office that my husband painted for me right before the pandemic. I have 2 big monitors. I have a sit-stand desk. I have my cool racer chair.
Your speed
so
racer.
I have a really nice setup to work at home. We have all the tools, all the technology. So I don't really feel like it impacts my ability to work. I miss the just human interaction. And for our clients who aren't used to working from home, and Joe, you struggled with that, just
But
always being at home and not, in your position as an account executive as well as president of the company, you're used to that handshaking, pat on the back, have some sushi face to face. And that's been a hard adjustment for a lot of people.
and that's one of the things that's I think is kind of interesting is, as we take a look at the large global organizations, the ones that come to mind are Google, Facebook, and Twitter, and they turn around and they make a statement. Hey, listen, folks, you don't have to come back to a physical office until the end of the year. And I don't know if I'm stating this correctly or not, but Twitter turned around and said you may not ever have to come back again. So there's a couple things, right? There's what happens to the commercial real estate market, number one, all that office space. But number two, what happens, how do you, in a virtual environment, what do you do to keep individuals on a team engaged, as well as turn around and say, like, how do you keep your clients engaged? What do you do about that? How do you think that will affect someone in your role? What will happen?
I think it would be a big adjustment because for my CSO clients, and our CSO clients are a long-term engagement of at least a year, I try to go on site and be with them face to face on average on a quarterly basis, because I think it's important to sit across the table, to sit in the same room, to talk about things. Obviously, we've not been able to do that. I don't know how you replace that. That's a good, like I said, we have the technology. I can see your face, you can see my face. The people who are listening and watching can see us. We have our Zoom meetings every morning, which, Joe, you've been saying all along, we need to record those because we've had some, I sometimes dress up for our Zoom meetings.
No.
So it's always just kind of an interesting when everybody pops up to see what I may be dressed up as, what Colin may have as his current background, what Rachel's puppy's doing. So we have that, but I don't know. Like I said, I always felt that I really had the perfect mix of working from home most of the time, but having that human contact in the office, on client sites, on travel. I don't know how you replace that. I don't know. I've read a lot since the pandemic about the weighing the risk of the virus as opposed to the social distancing and lack of human contact. And it's really detrimental. So I think for me in my role, we've done remote risk assessments for the first time ever. It was challenging. Our clients were great to work with. The security team worked it out, but it wasn't the same as going to their site and sitting at a table across from them and going through that process.
Sure.
So it's not that it can't be done, but I think you're definitely missing something when you can't have that face-to-face interaction.
Yeah, it reminds me of online learning. So you've got asynchronous and synchronous learning, and it's one thing when you go through a recorded video and you take notes or what have you. It's another thing when you actually have that live Zoom. It's even more so connected when it's residential learning and you're actually in a classroom with somebody. I think that the challenge that we also face is we're fortunate that we have a really great group of clients, and we're doing well as a business. The challenge, however, is getting new clients and trying to engage people in this Zoom virtual kind of goofy world. What does that mean? I don't know Joe Harford. I don't know Connie Mastovich, et cetera. And, how do you do that? And so, that's one of the things that Angie and I often talk about is how do you get that engagement for that new client? So, we're fortunate that we can get new business out of an existing client, but in order for Reclamere to continue to grow, we have to be able to continue to add new clients to the pipeline. That's the nature of how the business cycle works. What, if anything, advice-wise, would you give to somebody who may be sitting there struggling with this whole idea of working from home? How would you kind of calm their nerves, or, eliminate their anxiety, or whatever it may be, in order to kind of get them to settle in and feel more comfortable with this new kind of working from home thing?
One of the best pieces of advice that I was given, and I was given by one of my best friends who has a physician's billing business in her home. She said, separate your work area. That would probably be my biggest initial piece of advice. And I know it's difficult because not everybody has a spare room to turn into an office, or this was one of my kids' rooms and now it's my office. But try to dedicate a workspace where you can get away from you and I were talking before we got on, kids running back and forth, dogs barking. Now, I have a day bed in my office because it can also serve as a spare room. And my dog Tucker has decided that the corner of the day bed is his favorite place to lay, which is fine. He's not in here now. I shut the door because randomly something will trigger him outside and he'll leap up and bark.
Right.
He's had it on a lot of my client calls. Now, a lot of my clients have dogs and kids, so it's been fine. But I am out when he's not in here. I shut my door. I'm out of the ebb and flow of the house. And also, not only separate yourself physically, but from a mindset, separate your work. Sometimes I'll walk past my office and think, oh, I should just, and then I say, no, it's not, it's 8 o'clock at night. That'll wait till morning. I'm not going to check that email. I'm not going to do that document. So just separating your work time and space from your personal time and space when they're all happening in the same house. That would be my biggest piece of advice. And get up and get dressed. I don't get up and get dressed in work clothes, although that is a piece of advice that some people follow. But I have, especially when it's cold, I have sleeping pajamas and working pajamas, and they're different. I don't work in the same pajamas I sleep in.
That's good to know. And I'm sure that the people...
Now today, you can't see it, but I have my Chicken Love shirt on.
I do see your Chicken Love shirt. And you have pants on, too.
And I have pants on. I always have pants on, but they may be pajama pants, but they'd be my daytime pajama pants, not my nighttime pajama pants.
That's very important to know.
But one of the other challenges that we've had as a company in regards to working from home are the security aspects. You know, the Zoom bombing. We had a client with a very serious Zoom bombing case. We've had, you know, people that are using public Wi-Fi because theirs at home is not working right. And especially in, I would say, the first month, we spent a lot of our time doing webinars and giving advice to clients who have never worked from home before.
Right.
And as far as Zoom bombing, I found out that you can rent a donkey and have him Zoom bomb. And I really wanted to do that, but I didn't think that that would be a covered expense to have a donkey in our Zoom call in the morning.
Yeah, that's probably, that was wise on your part. Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, I think the security aspect is vastly important, but from a personal aspect, I would have to say the biggest thing is just separating those spaces. Now, I go downstairs and eat lunch in my kitchen sometimes. Sometimes I eat lunch up here in my office. Sometimes I take my lunch break and walk down and get the mail. Sometimes I do other things during work time, and then my work day extends. So you do have that flexibility, but you can't let it bleed into each other too much.
Right. Well, I appreciate the fact that you decided to be on Dave's Security Over Coffee, little V. But I also think that it's helpful to clients to know that they work with somebody who not only in their current position understands the benefits and the challenges of working from home, but you've done it in a past life. You also did it before technology was probably as fast, as good as it is today, you know, compared to, you know, even 5 years ago working from home and the challenges that you would have. And I think that, you know, what people are looking for is just the ability to say, hey, Connie, this is the challenge that I'm having, and what can I do to solve it? And I think by taking the time to help people, that's a cool part of your job. It's not necessarily a required part of your job, but it's a cool part of your job. So I'm just glad that you decided to share your Love Chicken shirt and your daytime pajamas and your speed racer chair. So
Thank you.
you got it.